Hey everybody, welcome back to Raising Vibrations. Today's video, we're going to be tackling the Mars-Pluto opposition. And yes, this is going to be a tough one. Not because I think that we can't handle it, but because the nature of Mars and Pluto, whenever they come into a conversation with each other, is always going to be one that's going to push you to grow and become stronger in a specific area. And that gets experienced through revealing to you where there's deeply held subconscious beliefs that you can't do that you have these fears, these anxieties, and where oftentimes you feel a very strong sense of disempowerment. So I'm going to help you sort of understand how to work with this transit and give you some practical advice so that as you go through this transit, you're with the right perspective and an integrative perspective that helps you really empower yourself with this, because this is a very potent transit, and I think it's a great opportunity to take advantage of what this energy is about. Now, before I do that, I just want to quickly point out that the Learn Your Chart immersion, the enrollment is still open. And what I'm doing here is I'm helping people become more integrated into their astrology chart, so that you can use this as a tool that keeps feeding you. This is not something you just do once. So I've really designed this course and this program to help guide you to connect with your charts in a very empowered way. There's people that are signing up for it at the moment. So if you want to participate, just click on the link in the description of this video. And I hope to see you there, because I really want to help people really understand the power of astrology. And this course is designed with that intention. Okay, so Mars-Pluto, opposition. Let's start with breaking down the archetypes. Mars is an archetype from a human, emotional, psychological standpoint. When you're embodying Mars, it's about stepping into a space and saying, this is what I own. This is me, okay? Remember, Mars is in opposite, the opposite sign of Mars is Libra. We only know where another person is by them telling us where they are. Right? That's just how that works, where you're always in a constant signaling. So Mars says, well, where are you? Where do you stand? Where do you stand? So the question that you want to think about is, where do I stand in my life right now? What is the most immediate thing from here on? Where am I? Okay. Mars is about taking up space. That's why you'll see with the North Node transiting through Aries, a big sort of surge in the collective is, I stand. This is where I stand. This is what I stand for. It's about claiming a space and saying, this is where I am currently. So think about that when it comes to the location of Mars in your chart. Pluto, on the other hand, is more of a complicated archetype, because Pluto is the things that we push away because they're too difficult to deal with, or we don't want to deal with them, or it's the place that we put away because it's an inconvenience. So when Mars and Pluto make an opposition, what happens is all the things that we push aside, we put away, it comes to the surface, and Mars says, where are you? So the dynamic tension between these two planetary systems is that there is an opposition between the space that you take up and the fears that keep you stuck. This is about, where are you currently, and are you recognizing that stuckness? And do you want to grow beyond that stuckness? That's the question. Do you want to grow beyond what you're currently emotionally stuck with? Okay. So recognize within your life, hey, I have a desire to take this new position in this job. I have a desire to travel the world. I have a desire to XYZ. The Mars opposed Pluto will say, well, are you aware of what you could possibly be, what's stopping you, right? What's inhibiting you? What's preventing you from taking that step? Maybe you have some fear. Maybe you have some reservations, some uncertainties, lack of, or insecurities, whatever. This transit is pointing it out, and it's saying, if you want to action that desire, if you want to have that experience, you need to consider taking up space with a new, empowered, and fresh perspective. What emotional position do you want to take that moves you towards that desire, right? Moves you towards that reality. So it's an emotional commitment to growing beyond what you currently are standing in and saying, this is what I'm comfortable with this. But you want that thing there. Yes, I do. I want to go do that. I want to experience that. So why don't you do that? Well, and then you have like 3 or 4 sort of reasons as to why you don't. But really, it's you're afraid. What happens if I fail? What happens if I don't get the job? What happens if I get rejected? And so then we step back and we don't do that. This transit is saying, if you want to like grow, then it's available. You just have to confront that fear, which is why we put it aside, because we're like, we don't want to confront that fear. But this transit wants you to. So ask yourself the question, where am I stuck? What do I want to do that gives me a sense of growing towards a stronger version of myself? And allow yourself over the next week, because the Mars-Pluto opposition will hit exactly on the 1st of November, to contemplate that and to really look at your life and say, what are the insecurities? What are the fears that are holding me back? And what type of choices can I make that breaks me from that pattern? Okay. And that's in its most simplest form. That is the beauty of this signature at the moment, which I think is amazing. Okay. So I've got some notes over here that I wanted to put across for everybody. And this is something that I'm going to be doing. This is how I'm going to teach in the Learn Your Chart Immersion. I'm going to help people break out of the patterns of their psychology in their charts and see the empowered version of it, so that you're living more in alignment with how those planets manifest on a higher vibration, rather than being stuck in and inhibited by the sort of shadow elements of your chart, essentially. Okay. So this energy is about transformation. This energy is about understanding that you're going to be feeling this tension between where am I at and what do I want to do, right? For most of the part. And you want to really find within yourself and reflect and ask the question, what is it that I can do to move into a more empowered version of myself, okay? Now, the thing is, this is transit, is that this transit is not going to be easy to navigate in another way, especially on the consensus world. And that's because this energy comes with a lot of volatility, right? You'll find yourself being more irritated. You might find yourself being a little bit more sort of reactive at this point in time. And that's primarily because when Mars-Pluto, and particularly Pluto, is very present in your life, your internal emotional landscape is like the intensity is ramped up. So you might find yourself not having enough space to hold and regulate some of the more challenges that are coming from outside of your space, right? Outside of your reality. And that's, again, because with you're filled up already. So the tendency with this transit is to find yourself getting sort of mixed up and emotionally enmeshed in types of conflicts and arguments and fights. And it's not necessary, but it's easy to get sucked into it. Because again, the intensity of the emotional landscape is ramped up with the Pluto-Mars opposition. And so it just takes a little spark like that for something huge to manifest. So take the time and recognize that if you're starting to see the embers of a conflict that is coming up, take a step back, recognize firstly that there's a planetary system in play, and reflect on and recognize what types of emotions are coming up for you. You might find that this external event triggered an internal limitation in you, right? That's where the power lies. What is the internal limitation in me that is being revealed through this external conflict? And then when you address that, you find the transformational key. That's where the power lies with this transit. And if you make a new choice under that old circumstance, you grow beyond that pattern that's been sort of like entrenched in your perspective that keeps reaffirming. It's like validating a pattern within your life. Like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I can't do this. This Mars-Pluto comes along and says, hey, this person it was in conflict with you, and you were shown that you have this underlying pattern of defeat. If you recognize that and you say, I think I'm going to choose to not, I'm going to address this. I'm going to explore why I have this underlying pattern. This Mars-Pluto will say, here's an opportunity to break free from that and actually like liberate yourself from this hold that this pattern has within you. And it opens up new opportunities for yourself. That's the beauty of this transit. The opportunity for new ways of being, new emotional landscapes of being coming alive, okay? So again, powerful beyond anything. I can't sort of put it more across of how incredibly potent this transit is, but it does come with some of the challenges that you need to navigate, which is a heightened sense of emotional irritation, potentially reacting rather than taking the time to pause and respond and reflect and recognize what it's bringing out in you. Okay. And finally, take this opportunity to become a little bit more sort of physical. When Mars and Pluto are always in alignment with each other, there's a need for this energy to kind of be expressed creatively. So if you have any hobbies or any sort of physical activities, meditation, things like that, do that during this time to help you channel this excess creativity or energy that's flowing through you, and disperse it into something that you can actually get like a lot of progress done, right? You might find that you've wanted to clear out the shed in the house, or you wanted to paint this thing over here, or you wanted to redo this. Take this energy to channel this excess like tension and place it into that and let it bloom and mature in a way that's incredibly powerful for you, okay? So don't forget, Learn Your Chart Immersion. Right down below is the link to join us. This is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be helping people become conscious of their planetary systems so that you can be more in control and more interactive with how your chart is playing out and how and what it looks like to be empowered in your chart. And remember that this Pluto-Mars transit is about transformation. It's going to come through some power plays. It's probably going to come through some unresolved emotions coming to the surface. But if you can take the time to just recognize a new choice under all circumstances and to allow yourself the opportunity to recognize where you might be challenged within you, where that disempowerment is, you're rocking this transit and kicking butt. All right, guys, I've got another video on the screen right now. What I've done is I've created a Pluto-Mars through the houses, which I want you to go and enjoy.